It was outrageous. My parents always favored my reckless cousin. While I was studying abroad, they secretly sold my dream car to pay his debt. You didn't need it anyway, they said. I took legal action without warning. That's when their carefully hidden lie started to unravel. My name is Alex, and this story is about the moment I realized my parents never really saw me as their son, just as an afterthought, a backup plan, someone they could exploit whenever it suited them. I was 22, studying abroad in Germany on an exchange program, living what I thought was the best year of my life. I had worked tirelessly to get there, years of part-time jobs, scholarships, and late-night study sessions. But the thing I was most proud of was my car. It wasn't just a car, it was my car, my dream car, the one I had spent years saving for by skipping nights out with friends, taking on extra shifts, and watching every dollar. When I finally got it, the feeling was indescribable. It was sleek, fast, and everything I had ever wanted. It was my prize for all the hard work I put in. I left it back home, safely parked in my parents' driveway before I flew out for my exchange program. I even asked them to start it once in a while to keep the battery from dying. They said, sure, no problem. I should have known better. It all started when my best friend Jake messaged me out of nowhere. Jake texted, "Dude, did you sell your car?" I frowned at the screen. "No, why?" Jake replied. Then why is it listed for sale?" That's when he sent me a screenshot. My stomach dropped. It was my car, my exact car, same model, same license plate, everything. Up for sale on some local Facebook marketplace listing. The price was way too low. At first I thought it had to be a scam, some weirdo using my pictures to bait people. But then, I noticed something, the location. It was listed in my hometown. My heart started pounding. I immediately called my parents. My dad picked up. "Hey Alex, how's Germany?" His voice was casual, like nothing was wrong. I didn't waste time. "Why is my car listed for sale?" There was a pause, a long pause. Then my dad cleared his throat. We needed to talk to you about that." My hands clenched into fists. "Talk to me! You already put it up for sale." Another pause. Then my mom got on the line, her voice sickeningly sweet. "Honey, don't overreact. It's not a big deal." "A big deal?" I snapped. "It's my car. I never agreed to sell it. What the hell is going on?" That's when they hit me with it. "Well," my mom said, like she was explaining something completely reasonable, "your cousin Ethan ran into some financial trouble. He had some debts to pay off and, well, you weren't using the car anyway, right?" I swear my vision went red for a second. "Are you kidding me? You're selling my car to pay for Ethan's debt?" My dad corrected. "It's already sold." Everything went quiet in my head. I felt like I was outside my own body watching this happen. "You already sold it?" My voice was barely above a whisper. My mom sighed, like I was being dramatic. "We didn't want to bother you with it. You're so far away and Ethan really needed help. Family takes care of family." Wanted to scream. Family? They were talking about family? The same parents who had never once helped me when I needed it? The same parents who watched me break my back, working to afford that car and never once offered a dime? And for Ethan, the golden boy, my entitled cousin who had never worked a day in his life and somehow always found himself in financial trouble? The same Ethan who got a brand new car as a graduation gift, while I had to save for years? I took a deep breath, my hand shaking. "Who did you sell it to?" Silence. "Alex, sweetie, who did you sell it to?" A heavy silence followed. Then my dad muttered, "Some guy named Mark." I immediately hung up. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. Instead, I acted. First, Banger said, "Jake, find out everything you can about this Mark guy. Who he is, where he lives, anything." Then I pulled up my phone's notes app and scrolled down to something I had saved a long time ago. Something that was about to make my parents regret everything, the car's title. Because here's what they didn't know. The car was still legally mine. The title was in my name, and that meant one thing. They hadn't sold the car, they had stolen it. And I was about to make them pay. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my tiny apartment in Germany, heart pounding, mind racing, planning every step. My parents thought they had control of the situation. They thought they could guilt-trip me into accepting it, make me feel bad for Ethan and move on. But they had no idea who they were messing with. By the next morning, Jake had come through. He texted, "Found the guy. His name's Mark Reynolds. Looks like he owns a used car lot in town. Probably thought he was getting a steal." That made things interesting. If Mark was a used car dealer, that meant he'd done this before. He probably figured out my parents were desperate, lowballed them, and made an easy flip. But the fact that he bought it meant there was a paper trail. I smiled to myself. Good. That'll make this even easier. I pulled up my phone and made my first call to the DMV. After confirming my identity, I explained the situation. "I'm the legal owner of a car that was sold without my permission. I have the title. The car was stolen." The lady on the phone sounded skeptical at first. But when I emailed her a scan of the title with my name on it, her tone immediately changed. "Sir, you need to file a police report immediately. The car is still legally yours." That was all I needed to hear. I hung up and immediately called the police department back home. I kept my tone calm, professional, and direct. "Hi, I need to report a stolen vehicle. I have the title in my name, but my parents sold it while I was out of the country." The officer on the other end hesitated. "Sir, do you have proof that you didn't authorize the sale?" I had anticipated this. "I have text messages with my parents admitting they sold it without asking me, plus the title in my name. I can email it all over right now." "All right, send it over." "We'll take a look." It took less than 2 hours before I got a call back. "This is Detective Harris. I just went through the documents you sent. Based on what I'm seeing, you have a pretty strong case. Since you never signed over the title, the sale wasn't legal. The car is still yours." I exhaled. "So what happens now?" "Well," the detective said, "we're going to treat this as a stolen vehicle case. We'll notify the current owner that they're in possession of stolen property. If they cooperate, we'll facilitate the return. If not, they could face legal consequences." That's when I got another idea. "What happens if the buyer refuses to return it?" I asked. "Well, technically, if they knew it wasn't legally sold, that's fraud. Even if they didn't know, they still have to return the car." The detective paused, as if debating whether he should say the next part. "If they try to make you pay to get your own car back, that could be considered extortion." I grinned. "Good to know." I spent the rest of the day waiting, my heart pounding every time my phone buzzed. My parents hadn't called or texted since our last conversation, which told me one thing: they knew they messed up. Then, at around 6 o'clock in the evening my time, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I picked up. "Hello?" A gruff voice answered. "Is this Alex?" "Yes. This is Mark Reynolds. We have a problem." I leaned back in my chair, pretending I wasn't enjoying this. "Oh, what kind of problem?" There was a pause, then in an annoyed voice, Mark said, "The cops just showed up at my dealership. They're saying the car I bought is stolen." I feigned concern. "Oh, well, that's crazy. How did that happen?" Another pause, then irritation crept into his voice. "Your parents told me they had permission to sell it." "Yeah, they lied." Mark let out a frustrated breath. "Look, kid, I already paid for this car. Your parents took the money. I have a bill of sale, and now I'm being told I have to give it back. That's not how this works." I smiled. "Actually, it is. The sale wasn't legal. You never owned it." There was a long silence on the line. Then Mark sighed. "All right, I'll return it." But there it was, the but. "I want my money back," he said. "Plus, I already put some work into it, new detailing, a small repair. I'm at over $8,000. If you want the car back, I need that covered." I nearly laughed. "So he wanted to play it that way, huh?" I kept my voice calm. "You want me to pay $8,000 for my own stolen car? You're getting a car back that I legally paid for. I'm not running a charity." I let that sink in for a second, then I said, "Let me think about it," and I hung up. Wasn't going to pay him. Not a single dime. But I wasn't done yet. I had one more call to make. It was time to deal with my parents. I took a deep breath and dialed my mom's number. It didn't even ring twice before she picked up. "Alex, thank God. We need to talk." I leaned back in my chair. "Sure, yeah, we do." She hesitated, probably thrown off by my calm tone. "Look, honey, I know you're upset, but you need to understand the situation. Here we go. The gaslighting. Your cousin was in trouble. It was an emergency. We had no other choice." I let her talk, let her dig the hole deeper. "And honestly, sweetheart, you weren't even using the car. It was just sitting there wasting away. Ethan needed help, and we figured you'd understand. We're family." Oh, the classic "we're family" guilt trip. I decided to hit her with the facts. "Mom, did you even check whose name was on the title?" Silence. "I have it right here," I continued, opening the scanned copy on my laptop. "It says Alex Carter, not Ethan, not..." Her voice shot up an octave. "You had no right to do that. Do you know what you've done?" I feigned innocence. "Oh yeah, I made sure the law was followed." I could hear her breathing heavily. "You're blowing this way out of proportion, Alex. Just call them and tell them it was a misunderstanding. We'll sort this out as a family." That made me laugh. "Oh, now you want to sort this out as a family? After you stole from me? Watch your tone," she snapped. "We raised you, we did everything for you, and this is how you repay us?" Ah, there it was. The "we did everything for you" card. I wasn't having it. "You didn't do this for me, Mom. You did it for Ethan, because you've always put him first." "That's not true," she argued. "Oh, really?" I said. "So tell me, if the roles were reversed, if I needed help, would you have sold Ethan's car to bail me out?" More silence. That told me everything I needed to know. You have no idea what you've just done, she finally muttered. I smiled. Oh, I think I do. Then I hung up. That night, I got another call, this time from my dad. I let it ring a few times before answering. His voice was cold. You crossed the line, son. I let out a breath. No, Dad, you crossed the line when you sold my dream car behind my back. He exhaled sharply, clearly trying to keep his temper in check. Look, we'll figure this out, but you need to drop this police nonsense before it gets worse. I kept my tone neutral. How exactly do you plan on figuring it out? We'll talk to Mark. Maybe we can work something out. Oh, I already talked to Mark, and that's when an idea hit me. Actually, I said, Mark has an offer. He says he'll return the car if I pay him $8,000. Silence. Then, what? Yeah, apparently he put some work into it and doesn't want to lose money. So, if you're serious about making this right, you guys can cover that cost. Dad sputtered. We? Why should we have to pay that? I grinned. Because you sold the car. This is your mess, not mine. Dad lowered his voice. We don't have that kind of money, Alex. Neither do I shot back. So, unless you want this to go to court, you'd better figure it out. I heard him mutter something under his breath before saying, I'll call you back. And just like that, I had them trapped. Either they paid to fix their mistake, or they had to deal with the legal consequences. The best part? I wasn't even close to being done yet. The next few days felt like a game of chess. I was 3 steps ahead and I knew it. My parents were scrambling to figure out how to fix their mistake, but they didn't have the luxury of time. I kept my phone on silent, mostly ignoring their calls. Every time they reached out, I knew they were hoping I'd cave, that I'd let them talk me into backing down. But I wasn't going to be their scapegoat, not this time. At some point, I stopped even pretending to be polite with them. I had made my point clear. The ball was in their court now. Then, 2 days later, I got a text from Jake. Hey, just FYI, Mark is still trying to sell the car. He's offering a $5,000 discount to anyone willing to take it off his hands, but I think he's getting desperate. Just thought you should know. I nearly laughed. So Mark was trying to flip my car again. It didn't take much effort to see the opportunity. If Mark was desperate enough to discount it that much, it meant he was either getting pressure from the police or trying to cut his losses. Either way, I had leverage. I called the police officer handling the case, Detective Harris, and gave him a heads up about what was going on. Mark Reynolds is trying to sell my car again. It's still in my name and hasn't been returned. There was a pause on the line, and then Harris's voice came back, sharp and serious. If he's trying to sell it without returning it, that's theft by deception. Let me know if you get any more info. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. Will do. I knew this wasn't the final piece of the puzzle, but it felt good to have the law on my side. Later that day, my dad finally called back. His voice was low, tight with frustration. Alex, we've been talking about this, and your mother and I have decided we'll pay Mark the money to get the car back. I smiled to myself. Bingo. That's good, I said, pretending to be casual. So, I guess you figured out the $8,000 then? Not exactly, he muttered. We'll do $1,500, take it or leave it. I blinked, a little taken aback. $1,500 for a car that's worth at least $10,000? We're already going above and beyond here, Alex. Don't push it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. They sold my car, didn't even ask me, and now they were offering me less than a fifth of what was needed just to get it back? Dad, I'm not negotiating here. I'm not paying Mark a penny for a car that was mine to begin with. You owe me the full amount or I'll let the cops handle it. His voice went tight. This is ridiculous, Alex. You're going to ruin everything. We're family. I sighed. We're family, Dad. Then why is my car the only thing that seems to matter? There was a long pause. He was still trying to process everything. I don't know what you want from us. You're going to have to figure that out, but you don't get to treat me like a fool anymore. And then I hung up. A few more days went by. My parents didn't call. I didn't reach out. Then, out of nowhere, I got another call from Mark Reynolds. Alex, his voice was as smug as ever. I've been thinking about your little offer. I crossed my arms, waiting. And you're not going to like it, but if you want your car back, you'll have to pay me $9,000. I raised an eyebrow. I thought you were offering a discount. Mark let out a chuckle. You don't get to tell me how this works, kid. This car is worth more than what I paid for it, so I'm raising the price. I leaned back in my chair, enjoying the moment. You sure you want to play this game, Mark? You might want to check with your lawyer before you make any more threats. There was a long pause, and then he snapped. Fine, I'll take $5,000. Take it or leave it. I almost burst out laughing. This guy was getting desperate. Not a chance, I replied. I'm coming for the car, and I'm coming for the money you've scammed me for. He didn't respond right away, but I could hear him grinding his teeth on the other end. Finally, he spat. "You're making a big mistake, Alex. You'll regret this." I smiled. "Maybe you will." I hung up. The next morning, I woke up to a text from Jake. "Mark's trying to sell it again. He's calling it a rare find now, offering it for $3,000. Looks like he's getting desperate. You should move fast." Perfect. I wasn't going to let this guy get away with it. The game had changed now. I wasn't going to make any more calls. I was going to show up in person and take back what was mine. And when I did, I would make sure Mark had to answer for every single cent he tried to scam me out of. The plan was simple, but it was going to hit like a freight train. I wasn't going to waste time with phone calls anymore. I called Detective Harris first thing in the morning. I could already hear the professionalism in his voice, but there was an undertone of excitement too. He was itching for a fight. "Detective Harris, you've got everything ready?" He gave a short laugh. "You know, I think this is going to be a fun one." I grabbed my jacket, stuffed my phone into my pocket, and got into my car, feeling the adrenaline rush through me. Today was going to be a day of reckoning. By the time I pulled up to Mark's house, I had the police in tow. The squad car parked behind me, and Detective Harris gave me a nod as we walked up to the front door. I could see Mark through the window, pacing back and forth. He wasn't expecting company. I knocked. Mark opened the door, a cocky grin plastered across his face. "Well, well, if it isn't the little thief. Come to beg for your car back?" I stared him down. "Not exactly." Mark blinked. "What are you—" Before he could finish, Detective Harris stepped forward, flashing his badge. "You're under investigation for theft by deception. The car is being seized, and any attempt to sell it is a felony." Mark's face drained of color. He backed away, his earlier bravado crumbling like a sandcastle. "Wait, what? No, this is a misunderstanding." I raised an eyebrow. "A misunderstanding, huh? Then why are you trying to sell my car?" Harris spoke again. "Sir, we're taking the car into custody. You'll be contacted about further charges." Mark tried to argue, but no one was listening to him anymore. A few officers moved in and began taking the car away, starting the process of securing it for transport. I stood there, arms crossed, watching every second of it. I had my car back, finally. The next few days passed in a blur. The police made sure everything was handled legally, and the process to return the car to my name was quick. As I signed the paperwork, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. My car, my dream car, was officially mine again. But it wasn't over yet. I didn't want anything to do with my parents anymore. They had chosen Ethan. They'd lied, stolen, and gaslit me at every turn. This was the end of it. I wasn't going to be their punching bag anymore. I called them one last time. My mom answered. "Alex, honey, I know we've had our differences, but this isn't the time to be angry." "You're right," I said, cutting her off. "This isn't the time to be angry. It's time to be done." There was a long silence on the other end. I could hear my mom's shaky breath. "What do you mean? What's going on?" "I mean that I'm done." I leaned forward, the words coming out sharper than I expected. "You sold my car, didn't think twice about it, and now you're asking me to forget it? Forget that you chose Ethan over your own son? That you've made me feel like I'm nothing for years? I'm done." I could hear her trying to swallow her words. "Please, Alex, don't do this." But I was already done listening. "You should have thought about that before you decided to steal from me. You don't get to pretend like nothing happened. I've been disrespected enough, and I'm done." And with that, I hung up. The next call was from my dad. I didn't even bother answering. Instead, I sent them both a message. "I'm cutting ties with you both. I don't care what happens from here on out. You've made your choice, and I'm making mine. Goodbye." It wasn't an easy decision, but it was the right one. They weren't my family anymore. They hadn't been for a long time. A few days later, I was sitting at my kitchen table when I saw a notification on my phone. It was a news article about a local businessman, Ethan's father-in-law, being fined $10,000 for fraud and theft. It turns out my parents were involved in some shady dealings with Ethan's side of the family, and their finances were in complete shambles. The whole thing hit me like a ton of bricks. It wasn't just about the car. It was about everything they kept hidden from me. The lies, the manipulation, the way they'd taken advantage of my trust. But I wasn't going to let it ruin me anymore. I stood up, walked over to the window, and took a deep breath. I wasn't going to waste any more energy on them. I had my life back, my car back, and the ability to move on. And that's exactly what I was going to do. So, what do you all think? Was I right to cut ties with my family, or did I take it too far?